Hello, in this video I want to talk about the Card-Chameleon algorithm, which is a similar algorithm to RC4. It was invented by Matthew McCogg, apologies if I didn't pronounce the name correctly, as his master's thesis at the University of Waterloo. In his thesis, he talks about addressing some of the weaknesses in the RC4 stream cipher and some alternatives that can fix some of the problems, such as the inherent bias that is found in RC4. To stretch himself, he decided to create two playing card algorithms that were loosely based on RC4, one called Card-Chameleon and the other called Pocket RC4. So in this video, obviously, I want to talk about one of them called Card-Chameleon. Card-Chameleon is what we call an auto key cipher. That is that we look up the plain text characters in the algorithm and the output is a ciphertext character. The order of the deck is the key, obviously, and it is the algorithm's internal state. Part of the algorithm is modifying that state as we continue to work through the plain text or the ciphertext. So when I encounter a similar letter, plain text letter, say I've encountered O and I want to come across O again, it may or may not encrypt to the same ciphertext character. Every ciphertext character should be equally probable as any other. So the state is modified to ensure this capability. This is unlike pseudo-random number generators, such as the solitaire playing card cipher, which outputs numbers, and you use mathematics to reach your ciphertext or plain text character using those numbers. So Card-Chameleon is a little bit different in that result. It is a auto key cipher, and it comes in two steps. There's an encryption step or two algorithms, an encryption algorithm and a decryption algorithm. They're similar in their design, except that the encryption algorithm, you are looking for a black card that corresponds to a plain text character and identifying the red card immediately above it. With the decryption algorithm, you are looking for the red card that corresponds to that ciphertext character and identifying the black card immediately beneath it. So the cards are in a black and red pair, and they're always moved around in the algorithm or identified, located as a pair. So as soon as you can get that into your conscious when working through the algorithm, the better off you are. I went ahead and shuffled one of these decks. I shuffled them 13 times, and that created this random permutation of cards in the deck. Unfortunately, this deck is not ready to go with Card-Chameleon. So what I need to do is go ahead and get that keyed correctly for Card-Chameleon so I can start using the algorithm. And the way we're going to do that is by creating two piles. We're going to create a black pile and a red pile. And then we will combine those two piles, strictly alternating black and red cards, so the final deck strictly alternates black, red, black, red, black, red throughout the deck. In order to do this, I'm going to operate one card at a time. Never at any point am I going to put down a bulk of cards. So in the case of these two 10s, I'm going to put them down one card at a time. The red card, one card at a time. This ensures zero ambiguity in the algorithm, so the recipient who is keying his deck will come up with the exact same result that I did. If I went ahead and set down this big bulk, that introduces ambiguity into that algorithm, which is what we want to avoid. So avoid the temptation of setting down a bulk of cards and deal them out one card at a time. Okay, So I have my black deck and my red deck. Now I'm going to go ahead and combine these decks, strictly alternating black and red, so that I have my final output. So we'll start with black first, then red, then black, then red, and continue in this manner until we're finished. Remember, one card at a time. So because I started with black on the bottom, I should end with red on the top, and my final result should look something like this. Red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black, all the way through the deck. All right. So that's set up. That is going to be my encryption deck. For the recipient's deck, we need to do the same thing. So we're going to do this one more time for practice. And then we'll go ahead and work through the encryption algorithm. So again, creating my black and red piles, one card at a time. Okay, those are created. Now let's go ahead and create the final deck, starting with the black card. Alternating black, red, black, red, black, red. Okay, so provided I made no mistakes, my decryption and encryption decks should be in the exact same order, alternating red, black, red, black, red, black. Okay, so now let's go ahead and work with my encryption deck. If we look at these steps, we'll notice that I have a table here of assignments where I'm assigning English characters to every card in the deck. So the Ace of Hearts and the Ace of Spades both are the English character A. The Seven of Hearts and Seven of Spades are G, and so on and so forth through the table. Every card has both a red, or pardon me, every English character has both a red and black assignment. This is the assignment as given in the PDF by Matthew, so we're going to go ahead and stick with that. And then I've got written down here, you can see on the video, the encryption steps and decryption steps. I'll also point a link to my wiki in the description where it goes in greater detail rather than just reading this here on the video. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at that. So let's encrypt this phrase, do not use PC. And we're going to use my encryption deck. We'll set this aside for a second. Okay. And the first step is to locate the black card for the plain text character. So my first plain text character is D, as in Delta. So D is assigned the Four of Spades. The black cards are my plain text characters, and the red cards are my ciphertext characters. So this is my plain text phrase. Plain text D would be the Four of Spades. So I'll look through this deck for the Four of Spades. Found it. And the next step in the algorithm is to assign the red card immediately above it as a variable T. Okay? So the red card immediately above my Four of Spades is the Two of Hearts. So I'll assign that as T, and then the third step is to locate the black card for T. So I want to find the black card for this 2 of hearts. Well, the 2 of hearts is B. The black card for B is the 2 of spades. Okay, so I'm now going to look as the next step in the algorithm, locate the black card for T. I want to find the 2 of spades. We found it. Okay. The red card immediately above T is my ciphertext character, which is the 6 of hearts. The 6 of hearts is F. So my ciphertext character for the plaintext D right now is F. I can write that down. The final step is, or the next to final step, is to swap this ciphertext red card with the top card, which is also red. So I take my ciphertext card, which was the 6 of hearts, swap it with the top card, like so. Okay. And then the final step is to take the top 2 cards and move them to the bottom of the deck. So I take the top 2 cards and move them to the bottom of the deck. Right? Now I'm ready for my next plaintext character. Plaintext character is O. I want to look for the 2 of clubs. So we'll look for the 2 of clubs in my deck. Okay. We find the red card immediately above it is T, which is the 4 of hearts. Find the black card for T. The black card for the 4 of hearts is D, which is the 4 of spades. So let's look for the 4 of spades. The red card above that is my ciphertext character, which is the 2 of hearts. The 2 of hearts is B, so I write down B for O. I then swap B with the top card, then take the top 2 cards and move them to the bottom. Let's do a couple more, and then we will look at the decryption process. So N, I want the black card for N, which is the ace of clubs. I notice the red card immediately above it, which is the 8 of diamonds. The 8 of diamonds, the black card equivalent, is the 8 of clubs. So we'll look for the 8 of clubs. The 8 of clubs, the red card above it, is the 9 of hearts. That is the ciphertext character I. I is an igloo. Now I swap this with the top card. Because this is already the top card, no swapping is necessary. So I'm just going to go ahead and move these top 2 cards to the bottom. Last one, O. Let's look for the 2 of clubs. The red card above it is the 4 of hearts. The 4 of hearts, black card equivalent, is the 4 of spades. So let's find that 4 of spades. The red card above that is my ciphertext, which is the 6 of diamonds, which happens to be S. So I write down S. Swap the ciphertext and the top card. Move the top 2 cards to the bottom and move forward. Okay, that is the encryption process. I would continue with the rest of the characters in the plain text. But now let's look at the decryption process. So I'm going to use my decryption deck. This needs to start in the same key order, the same deck order as the encryption deck in order to completely undo the ciphertext. The steps are very, very similar, except instead of trying to locate plain text characters or black cards and look at the red card above it, we are going to be locating ciphertext characters or red cards and then identifying the black card immediately beneath it. So remember how I said at the beginning of the video that these cards are married as a pair, a black and red pair. So that's always the case, all right? So if you keep that in your mind, it may help you with the algorithm. So this is my ciphertext. I want to find the plain text, or to decrypt that F. So I'm going to look for the red card of F. F is the 6 of hearts. So I want to find the 6 of hearts in my deck. Okay, I found it. Now, per the second step in the decryption process, I'm going to find the black card beneath it and assign it the variable t. In that case, it is the 2 of spades. So I want to find the red card for the 2 of spades as the third step. So the 2 of spades, the red card would be the 2 of hearts. To make things easier, I'm going to keep that 6 of hearts. That was my plain text, or my ciphertext character F. I'm going to keep that stuck up a little bit, and you'll see why in a second. So I need to find the 2 of hearts in my deck. There it is. And I look at the black card immediately beneath it, which is the 4 of spades. The 4 of spades is my plain text character. That happens to be a D. So I write down D as my first plain text character. Okay? We can see that so far, 1 for 1, we've decrypted successfully. Let's see if we can decrypt the next 3 characters correctly. Now, for the 5th step, I need to swap the ciphertext red card with my top card. This was the ciphertext character for F. This was the first card I looked up. That's why I kept it stuck up like this a little bit, so it becomes easier to swap. So I'll swap that with the top card, right? And then you move, per the last one, move the top 2 cards to the bottom of the deck. So let's go ahead and try that again. I want to find the red card for the ciphertext B, which is the 2 of hearts. So we'll look through here for the 2 of hearts. There it is. And we identify the black card immediately beneath it, which is the 4 of spades. We're going to assign that to T and locate the red card for T. So the 4 of spades is D, which is the 4 of hearts. So let's find the 4 of hearts in my algorithm. And identify the black card immediately beneath it, which is the 2 of clubs, okay, which is O. So far, so good. Now you notice I forgot to put up my ciphertext card, which was B, which was the 2 of hearts. So I need to go back and find the 2 of hearts. And that's what I swapped with the top card. That's why it's useful for kind of pushing that ciphertext card up, so it's easier to find when you get to this step. Then I swap the top 2, or I move the top 2 cards to the bottom, and I go again. Find the ciphertext I, which is the 9 of hearts. So here it is, right on the top. How convenient. Assign the black text, the black card immediately beneath it is T, and look for the red equivalent of T. So the 8 of clubs is U. The red equivalent is the 8 of diamonds. So we'll look for the 8 of diamonds. And the card immediately, black card immediately beneath that, the ace of clubs, is my plain text character, which is N. So I write down N. Now, remember, I swapped the ciphertext red card, which was my 9 of hearts, with the top card. It's already the top card, so no swapping is necessary, so I move those top 2 cards to the bottom. We'll do the last one, S. S is the 6 of diamonds, so let's find the 6 of diamonds. Notice the black card immediately beneath it, the 4 of spades. Assign that as T. Look for the red equivalent of T. So for the 4 of spades, the red equivalent is the 4 of hearts. All right? Remember to keep that character, that ciphertext character card up. We're going to look for the 4 of hearts. and the black card immediately beneath it is my plain text character. So there's my 4 of hearts. The black card immediately beneath it is the 2 of clubs. The 2 of clubs is O, so I write down O. And then I swap my ciphertext card with the top card. I move the top 2 cards to the bottom. Okay, and that's how the process continues, working through the plain text and the ciphertext. You'll notice that we did things correctly. We were able to encrypt DONO to FBIS, and then we were successfully able to decrypt FBIS to DONO using the same deck order as the sender. A note about keying the deck. You can key the deck with a riffle shuffle. I have a separate video that talks about how you can maximize the entropy of riffle shuffling a deck, and it takes about 11 to 12 riffle shuffles to maximize that entropy. But what if you wanted to key the deck based on a password? You can do that. This algorithm supports it. You just have to make a couple modifications, and my wiki talks about that, and I don't have that listed here on the steps, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. So first off, you need to start with a ordered deck. And I have one over here. One sec. I believe this deck is ordered. Double check. All right, so here is a set of cards that I started with the deck order before it got put into Card-Chameleon format of the red, black, red, black, red, black. The deck order was clubs first, then diamonds, then spades, or pardon me, clubs, diamonds, hearts, and then spades, face up in that order. I went ahead and created my 2 piles of black and red, and then mix those back together, and you can see that spades and hearts came on the bottom, followed by clubs and diamonds on the top, okay, which is what we'd expect. So now I have a unkeyed Card-Chameleon deck. This is unkeyed because we haven't put it into the deck order we want for encrypting my plain text. So we're going to do that based on a passphrase, right? And let's go ahead and use the passphrase. Correct, horse, battery, staple. When keying your deck based on passphrases, it's important that your passphrase has sufficient entropy to withstand a sophisticated attack. I would recommend that your passphrase has at least 70 bits of entropy, and probably most cryptographers would agree that that's probably getting a little bit shy. You probably want to be upwards of 100 bits of entropy or more. So you'll want to choose a passphrase that meets those requirements. Also, because we only are using assignments of regular plain text English characters, this kind of restricts your passphrase to just using those characters. So using passphrases that have non-alphabetic characters such as digits or special characters like the period or the comma or the dash, so forth. These are not represented with card assignments, so you would not be able to work those through. So stick with English characters only for your passphrase. So in order for this to work, we're going to modify my encryption and decryption step by adding one step to it. And we do this to prevent someone from just working through the encryption algorithm to get to the right key and then moving forward with the decrypting the ciphertext. We want to add this extra step which would force them to know the passphrase. So we're going to look for each character in the passphrase, just like we did with the encryption step. So we're going to find the black card for C, which is the 3 of spades. Because this is in order, I should be able to get to it quickly. The 3 of spades is right there. We find the red card equivalent, which happens to be the 3 of hearts. These two are married. We would find the black card equivalent for that, which would be back to the 3 of spades, and then the red card above would be our ciphertext character. Because these are in order, I would find a 3 of spades, the red card would be T, find the black card for T, which is the 3 of spades, take me to here, the red card above it is my ciphertext. Okay, because this is in order, I'm not going to do that twice. Now, we're going to follow this step. Swap the ciphertext red card with the top card. So we swap these two. But here's where we add a step. We're now going to take the 2 cards that I had found at the second portion of my algorithm and move those to the bottom. Then I will take the top 2 cards and also move those to the bottom. So unlike the encryption phase, 4 cards actually get moved to the bottom rather than just 2. So I've keyed it for C. Now let's key it for O. O is going to be finding the 2 of clubs, which is right there. I find the red card, assign it to T. That's the 2 of diamonds. The black card equivalent of the 2 of diamonds is the 2 of clubs. I find the 2 of clubs, look at the red card above it, and that is my ciphertext character. I swap these. Swap this with the top card. It is the top card, so no need to be swapped. And then as this added step, I move these 2 cards to the bottom, and then move the top 2 cards to the bottom. 4 cards are always going to the bottom. I've keyed on O. Now let's key on R. R is the 5 of clubs. Find the 5 of clubs. I find the red card above it is the we'll assign as T. The black card equivalent of T is the 5 of clubs because it's the 5 of diamonds. Find the 5 of clubs, move these 2, then move those 2 to the bottom, these 2 to the bottom. Got that R. Let's do the next R. Again, we want to find the 5 of clubs. Well, we just moved it to the bottom. The red card above it is the 4 of diamonds. The black card equivalent of the 4 of diamonds is the 4 of clubs. So we find the 4 of clubs that happens to be on the bottom. We take the red card above it, swap it with the top card. We move these 2 cards to the bottom. They're already on the bottom. And we take the top 2 cards, put them to the bottom. And we continue in this fashion until we work through the entire passphrase. The only trick is that we're adding a step. We're following the encryption steps, but we're just adding a step before swapping or after swapping the ciphertext red card with the top card. We then move the swapped cards to the bottom and then the top 2 cards to the bottom. And we move through that fashion. After we've worked through our passphrase, our deck is then keyed, and then we are ready to go through the encryption process and decryption process. One more note about keying a deck. Bruce Schneier talked about the solitaire, or invented the solitaire encryption algorithm, and everybody has, not everybody, but many people have been inventing card encryption algorithms because of solitaire, I myself included. In his solitaire algorithm, he talks about 3 ways to key a deck: through random shuffling, through keying with a passphrase, which means using a modified form of the encryption algorithm, or another way in using bridge puzzles. Newspapers and magazines will have bridge puzzles printed in them, and all 52 cards will be available for view. Provided a deterministic algorithm, you can use that puzzle to key the deck. The only trick, of course, is communicating with the other party that you're both using the same source for bridge puzzles, and that you both agree on the same day, the same month, the same puzzle, deterministically. So every time a message needs to be sent, there is no ambiguity on which bridge puzzle was used. Of course, the drawback with using bridge puzzles is if a adversary discovers that you're using bridge puzzles to key your deck, it may not be difficult for him to find the correct bridge puzzle and decrypt an intercepted message. So random shuffling or passphrases are probably the better choice for keying your deck. And that's all I've got